Mainly based on feedback of people who've worked the workbook. There are at least 2 more sections that will be added to the second edition, and in people working through the workbook, the first edition, and workshops, and even some social media feedback that I've received, I'm going to add the new things so we can dig a little deeper. We can go into a couple of more areas that I didn't cover the first time, and to just grow and change and continue to get better. Well, in a couple of ways. One is there will be more in-depth information given. It won't all just be workbook information. It's going to include an entire section on communication. So the first section is going to be the workbook. There's going to be another section on communication skills, tips, techniques. I've removed the interviews throughout the workbook, and instead at the end of the workbook I've put interviews, and I have then taken the interview templates and added some labeling to it so you can see what tools and techniques were used during the interview. I am trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. I've received some feedback about having electronic versions versus the hard copy versions, having both available, and I am making as many changes as I can that will make it more user-friendly and that will make it more in-depth and just have kind of more bang for your buck. Living in consciousness means that you're living each day intentionally, that you aren't living in the past, you're not dreaming about the future, that you're staying focused on today, being in the moment now, and doing that requires to look at some stuff. It requires a series, in my opinion, it requires looking at who you really are, who you are right this moment, then digging into how you got that way, how, who contributed to that. Do you like it? Do you want to change it? Do you want to keep some pieces of it and change some other things of it? Setting goals for the future and moving ahead with those. And then also one of the big components of living in consciousness is looking at how those beliefs and those values and those things, those foundational items of who we are, how they get in the way of our communication with other people, how they kind of stop our ability to move forward in some of the areas, and it makes it real. I think it makes it a little more clear as to why we are the way we are, why we do the things we do, and how we can get unstuck from the places that we choose to get unstuck from. That's the beauty of living in consciousness, is I want people to get whatever they want to get out of the workbook. There are people who will work it and they'll fly through it, and from it they'll get basics. They'll get a little bit of information about communication, or maybe a little bit of information about themselves. And there are other people I've met who have told me that it's changed their lives, that it's changed their way of thinking. I've had some people tell me that it really cleared up a lot of oh, that is the reason for this. I never knew that. So that's the reason for this. So it was kind of like a, oh, wow moment for them, where they were able to put in perspective of some of the characteristics they possessed, where those came from, and that seemed to help ease them and comfort them, and make them see what they were in control of, what they were responsible for, and kind of clear the pathway for them to move ahead from there. So, I hope that people get the most out of it. I hope that they will, put time and energy and thought into it, but ultimately people will get out of it whatever they are willing to put into it. Really it's your choice of what you want, what you want out of the journey. You know, I want to say all of them, you know, anything that's multifaceted. I think it's hard to say that one's more important than the other. All components of it work together for the best outcome. But the one thing I'll tell you that without a doubt, I think, and it's not a part of the workbook, it's a part of the person who will work the workbook, that is being willing and absolutely open-minded to being 100% honest. Nobody else is going to see the workbook. You don't have to turn the workbook into anyone, you know, it's yours. And anything that you put down in it belongs to you. So being 100% honest, you know, deciding before you even open it that you're going to take this time, this moment in your life, these moments in your life, however long you work on it, and be as reflective as you can, and be 100% honest to yourself, about yourself. And that I believe is just 100% going to give you the most important part.